There.
Beautiful.
Very good. Sorry. I checked all of their numbers.
I want to tell you about
It's very Polish made. I love Polish.
I know, right?
You said everyone like you're very good.
I love it.
So spring, you don't have willing spring to come on. Below 0.
Yeah, I'm live.
Yeah, I'll even wait a minute.
What?
I'll even a minute. If you hit it, that's above ground.
Can we pause it?
No. BJ is on with us. Hi, BJ. We'll be ready in 2 minutes. Ready to go? All right. Let's take the same approach we did last time we did this. Talk about the objections we're going to hear. All right, guys. Hey. Yeah. We're going to be talking about objections and objection handlers today, whether it's from whether it's from expired, FISBOs, internet leads, sphere of influence, past client, whomever. And we're going to start it off with asking you guys main objections you've been hearing over the last however long. So throw at me.
Well, not necessarily an objection, but it's an obstacle. I don't want to sell, I can't find anything. You know, I don't want to sell my house because there's nowhere I can go. Inventory is so low and I don't want to live in my mother's basement.
Yep, so inventory's low.
Yep.
Nothing to move to.
Nothing to move to.
Where would I go?
Prices are too high. I mean, just a lot of, how do we overcome this objection? I'm afraid of the market right now and I don't want to do anything.
Okay, I'm afraid of the market. Or not sure if now is the right time.
Yes.
Now, quick segue. Who was in the business 2 years ago? Right? Pretty much all of us. And 2 years ago, market was crazy. 25, 50,000 over asking price. Did they have these same objections? The clients, they all recycle these objections. So the thing is, if we start looking for patterns, we'll recognize that the patterns are that they keep saying the same things. We keep thinking it's different because we always want to blame the market. Market's too fast, market's too slow, market too many houses, market too many renters.
Too many offers.
Too many offers. There's too many offers like that. And you're like,
have to be able to find a house.
a realtor is always really good at one thing, and that is making sure that it's got to be something other than them that's the problem. So we're always trying to dance around something we can get better at. The beauty of getting better at your scripts and dialogues, they won't matter, the market won't matter. Overcoming scripts or overcoming objections is really a function of getting good at dealing with people and not giving a shit what they do, right? So we're not attached to their outcome. Overcoming their objection is super simple when you don't care if they move. You're just sorting people. So you have to talk to more people, find the people that want to move. That's where we have to get good at the sorting. But when we're not attached to like, they must move in June or they must move in, right now it's February, right? So right, they don't need to move in February. We really want to close in February. Well, that's our November problem. right? You can't fix February's lack of closings with February's efforts. That's only, right now, you can only work on April's closings. Right, but in April, you can't complain about April's closings, like, because the ones you're working on in April, like, that's July. Right, so we're always a few months ahead of time when we're converting. Think of like the best objections that you get are the most common. Then let's think of a different way to say the same thing, because what we'll notice is that in all markets, they kind of recycle them. They just kind of tweak them a little. And they're usually just lack of motivation, like things that you can't hear, you can't fix. Anyone ever had a listing where you get feedback? The feedback ever something you can do? Or is it kind of like obvious things? Right, like, oh, I don't like that it backs up to the road. Don't care for the floor plan, don't like this.
Yeah.
I wish I had a main floor master. Don't like the neighborhood. Decided that it wasn't the right city. Decided to buy a different floor plan. I went with the townhome near my sister. Like, I mean, how do you think? What is feedback? Right, many times it's like, they're just objections, but we're looking for patterns. We help our sellers by looking at the patterns, like how can we get ahead of it? So, I can't find anything, the inventory is really low. I'm afraid of the market, is now the right time? From a timing perspective, I'm not sure if it's really the right time for me to move at all in my life. Maybe the kids aren't old enough, maybe the kids are too old, maybe I want to go to a one level, maybe now's not the right time, maybe I'll just wait. All right, what else are we getting? Interest rates, yep, interest rates. So it's gonna cost too much, right? Financing costs too much, interest rates gonna cost too much. All people, all objections. All objections are rooted in someone's DNA, right? Their lack of design, their lack of need, their lack of ability. You gotta be missing at least one of those. And our job is to sort of determine through any objection. The only thing that will be universal is it's something missing here. The only way we can go to a closing, the only way we can overcome an objection, the only way that we can truly help someone is to understand what is their desire about moving. Oh, they don't have one. Oh, that's a hard one, right? I don't really want to move. Oh, okay, well, now what? Like I talk you into it. Like, I mean, it's like, you know what I mean? Everything is going to be like, well, I just talk them into it. Well, who operates that way? Which one in the room wants to go to get a car today and like be told or sold on which one you have to buy? Right? People hate that. So desire is a hard one to overcome. If they don't have desire, it's like a non-starter. You show me someone that has desire with a 520 credit score and I will show you a closing. If they want it bad enough, they'll figure out how to get a cosigner. We've all been, anyone been to a closing with one that like really shouldn't have closed? If the longer you do this, the more you have these happen, right? Like, I mean, they really can't afford their car, much less the house, but like their alternative is they rent and can't afford that either, but they'll figure it out, right? I mean, we just sold one where, well, actually it was Colleen. So Colleen was on the other side. Our client, my client's from Florida. Wealthy investor, owns a lot of properties. She bought this stupid thing for her burnout son-in-law and daughter, ex-son-in-law, that like couldn't afford, neither one of them could fog a mirror to get a house. She bought an extra $500,000 house for them to have for a few years because till they could get their stuff together. So again, desire or lack of desire is a hard one to overcome, but if they really want it badly enough, they can find someone who could probably help. Need? Do they really need to move? Here's the thing.
I have a desire to purchase a cabin. I don't have a need. I have the ability. I don't have a need. It's not pushing me to take the next step.
Let's use that particular one. So we'll get you.
You've been trying to handle this.
You're going to be riding with me. I'm going to actually list a cabin this afternoon in Comstock, which is within her area. And so like you can come with on a ride along. We'll probably just get it. You'll own it this afternoon. So need is one of these things. So right now, if you were to pick any one of these three that's missing, when the market shifts, the part that gets the hardest is these are the ones that, like, for the last few years, a lot of people just manufacture a need, right? Like, I need to have some more office space. I need to have a little bit more space. I need to be out in the country. I need to get away from the city of Minneapolis. I need this, and, you know, I'm able to work remote, so I need a bigger house. The kids are, you know, going to school in the dining room. I need a bigger dining room. The need part, sometimes that's kind of when the market shifts, those are the people that disappear. Because all the people that don't need to move, when it's 6.5%, don't move. Divorced people move, boyfriend and girlfriend move, people who don't want to live with their parents forever move, old people that break a hip and end up in the hospital move, right? They have to have that need, and the needs, it's like motivation. So what's missing is all the unmotivated people. Unmotivated people many times are people who just don't need it. All right, so they live in an $800,000-900,000 house. They don't have to move to a 1.5. For the last few years, those people just did. They just, because they could, because it was 2.9, and it was like, well, I was cheap. So it's like, well, sure, I'll just buy another house. I'll do another Airbnb. I'll do another VRBO. That's fine, right? So when the market was crazy, it just made extra people do it. So we might still be in the third or fourth best year of your entire life in terms of real estate, but 1, 2, and 3 might be. Right, might be the fourth. And then ability, we've always, so when we go through these objections, well, we'll go through another one here in a minute, but when we go through these objections, I follow a process called AEIOU. So we acknowledge the objection, empathize, or relate with them that they have this objection. So I'll write this down, but AEIOU, any objection that you will hear us overcome today will follow this process. So we're not going to call it out because it's too hard to, like, you know, stop and in the middle, in midstream, but acknowledge is really just, I hear you, like, I understand, you don't really even need to move. It's just that sentence. But empathy, most important part of this is kind of like, for me, I'm a super type A, really high D, driven, talk too much, talk with my hands, diarrhea of the mouth, kind of like typical salesperson entrepreneur. I gotta shut the hell up. So for me, empathy is dialing way back, slowing it way down.
Empathy also equals tone. The
Yeah,
tone
your
of your
tone.
voice.
So for me,
it's not always about the words, it's about the tone of your voice when you're acknowledging their objection. The tone can symbolize and so
now, conversely though, if you're a quiet person, so say you're just kind of a quiet, more reserved person, empathy is going to be like, can you step it up a notch? Can you kind of get to the point, maybe get this thing moving a little bit quicker? Because this person who's really type A that you're meeting with, that owns a company, that empathy, like, you've got to be able to kind of move with them. So your tone and tonality, whatever you are, just know that you being too much of who you are is your problem. So toning it back, if you're a super outgoing, gregarious, talkative person, you probably just need to be quiet. If you're the type of person that has to play tractor pull to get 3 words out of your mouth, now would be your time to actually, like, have some things that you need to say so that you can, like, again, empathy is kind of that tone and tonality and making sure, you know, they also call it mirroring and matching. If you've ever lost a client, like anyone dealt with the person, like, I don't have time for your call. Like that guy, love that guy. That's my favorite guy to answer the phone, right? The prick, the real prick that's kind of mean, like expireds. Anyone call expireds and thought they were fun? Like I did. I do think they're fun because I love dealing with that obstinate prick that hates realtors. Like, just like, it's fun. But that's not everyone's cup of tea, right? You gotta isolate their objection. And so you'll hear us, so both Luetta and I are gonna isolate it. Like, you know, other than you don't really need to buy a cabin, is there any other reason you wouldn't do it then?
Not really. I just like to maybe have more of a down payment.
Okay. But so is the money side of it probably give you the biggest anxiety about whether or not right now is the time to do it?
Yes.
So if you could figure out how to make the money side irrelevant so that it wouldn't matter and in the end it would actually make you money, would that make sense?
Yes.
So you got to go through some options and come to an understanding. Now, education is going to help you come up with some options. If you got 3 hours into real estate, that's what gives you the most anxiety about an objection. You don't know what you don't know. So how are you supposed to overcome it? We don't have any damn options. Right? And that's where you just gotta learn super fast some of these different options, which we'll talk about today. You can't know all of them. You can join different support groups. You can join different Facebook groups or whatever, where they'll talk about scripts and dialogues. They'll talk about overcoming objections. If you haven't listened to Tom Ferry or Mike Ferry was my first coach. Like, I learned 80% of my scripts and dialogues from Mike Ferry. Tom Ferry's, it's his kid, they don't like each other, but so that's a whole different story. But their scripts and dialogues are really good. And there's tons of agents that do it. Did anyone listen? What's that thing that Becky likes to listen to in the morning?
Oh, pivot shift.
Pivot shift, like that was something that got started during COVID, I believe.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's just a morning thing where, again, they're overcoming objections, scripts and dialogues. Like, if you pick someone in the room, right? Here's the bowl, right? Make your own bowl, right? Make your own bowl. All of these really only say 5 or 6 things.
And they're all in your packet, by the way.
They're all in your packet.
50 handlers attached to them that Jason has said throughout the years.
Options and understanding. So there's your AEIOU. Isolating the objection is key, right? Tone and tonality. So write that down next to empathy, because a lot of times people don't know what empathy is. For me, all of my struggles, well, business-wise, personal-wise, relational-wise, all of my struggles come from communication deficiency. There's me being too much of me. And those of you that are quiet, you just being too much of you, right? Like, Gina's problems and my problems are all like, she doesn't talk and I talk too much. Like, it's just like what it is. Hello. Well, I mean, there isn't a relationship where this doesn't exist. And we all have it. I mean, Luetta and I spent a fair deal of our day today talking about it from a work perspective. Because communication with your client. Why'd you look at him, right?
Because she looked at me.
Right. But all, like, if you think about it, overcoming objections, reviewing scripts and dialogues is really like, this isn't about, so here's what everyone came for today, and this is why I want to say this. Everyone wants to figure out how to convert more. So stop trying to convert more and just start trying to understand.
And by understanding how I do it, and what I would teach is ask more questions. Ask more digging questions. And that's why I gave you guys all the LP Mama script, which is finding out their location, their price, their motivation, if they have an agent, have they met with somebody in mortgage or and getting an appointment. And then it's all the digging questions on top of that we put together so that you have questions that can get you the answers that you're looking for. Because in reality, how objection handlers used to be is, I'm gonna overcome that objection and I'm going to get them to make changes tomorrow, whether they like it or not. No. That's
just
actually not doing them any justice. If you come from a place of wanting to help people and you genuinely care about what their end goal is, it doesn't matter if it's tomorrow or 5 years from now. The whole goal is that you talk to enough people that it fills a pipeline. Overcoming the objections sometimes takes 5 years to get the entire desired ability. And you have to be okay with it. So old school way, always be closing. And now it's not, it's always be in conversation. The whole goal is to have those conversations regularly. Remind yourself to follow up, because you might have a conversation with a gold mine today, but they're not going to do anything for a few years.
It'll give you a lot less anxiety when you're trying, like, so when you get stuck, and so when you're new, right, when you're new, or you just feel like you just need to learn, I need to come up with these options. Like, because they'll think like, that's the most important. Just find another reason to follow up, right? So I don't have any options, so I just stop the conversation. So like, you know, other than you figuring out a way to make this a financial win-win where maybe it wouldn't even cost you anything. You end up owning a cabin or very little. You own a cabin and it actually sort of in the end of the year, it makes you money, doesn't cost you. Like, would that make sense?
Yes, absolutely.
Awesome. You know what? I'm stepping into an appointment right now. Would you be offended if I just check back in with you later in the week and we'll go through some different options and how we could actually make that work?
Yeah.
Perfect. Then just call someone in the meantime, right? You don't have to know shit. Like, you don't have to know all the options. You just have to know that you're too busy to go through them right now, but would it be okay if I called you back next week? And then go find someone that actually has some options. There's always an option. Right? Did you know that it's possible to buy a cabin with someone else's money? If you find the cabin and have a desire to own it, do you know there are people who will give you the down payment and help put the deal together because they don't want to have to deal with finding the deal? Right? That happens. It happens in commercial real estate, it happens in residential real estate. You do not have to have your own money. It's not, this isn't just late night TV stuff. Right? It's not just late night TV. So, but we have to know, okay, if the money part of it is the only part that's missing, what else can we do? Do you qualify for rural development? Rural development allows you to own a house with zero money. If you go zero money down and it's 100 miles away or 50, 60 miles away, does that allow her to own that thing with dang near zero money? And if you VRBO it 20 weeks out of the year, which we do on the consuming side, like we just booked the VRBO, how much does that thing cost us in California?
Well, with all the fees and everything, almost $900 a day.
A day! Like, it's dumb. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, and it's like, well,
so that you have to ask, you don't have to know the options at all, nor do you have to speak to it at all. Just as if you could take that away, like if there was a way to build a plan to get you into that with zero money down, would you both entertain finding out more about that? Right. Let us put together a plan for you, and that's simply hooking them up with your preferred lender that's going to sit down and develop a plan, and that plan maybe now and it may be a year from now, depending on all the things. So it's just, so those are options. It doesn't have to be specifics. It can just be, have you ever sat down with somebody to work out a plan financially?
We get stuck sometimes when we think we have to have all the options versus, like, I think a lot of it, like, think of when you're making prospecting calls, you're calling your sphere, you're calling your friends. Again, stop thinking conversion, start thinking conversation. Like, would it be all right if I followed up with, it's the same thing with the open house, right, Judy? You get 17 people through $1 million house this weekend, like, that's a lot of traffic. Your whole goal is not to try and like sweep the rug and get someone to sign a buyer contract at the open. Just to have a reason to follow up with them on Tuesday. Then get a reason to follow up with them the following Wednesday. Right? You just want a reason to follow up. Right? I was thinking of you today, saw this article about Stillwater schools. I know you had mentioned that that was important. Just thought you might want to, I mean, it's just find a way to follow up. If we can find a way to follow up, they begin, like, after you follow up for a while, and you said that's like where you convert people after 3 or 4 years, they come in as an internet lead. But after you've been talking to them like
that's great.
3, 4 times a year, like all of a sudden they think you're like their buddy or something. It's like you've been talking to them for like years. And you know their life story. And it became less about conversion and more about that relationship. And really all leads, when it really comes down to it, all lead conversion is about taking these people, right? These hundreds of people that we talk to and getting it down to the 3 that kind of fall out of the bottom right now. So if you talk to, and again, so this is just worth noting, if you have 100, right, 80% are going to do something someday. 17, right, or let's just call it, you know, if we got the 80-20, right, 17% is soon. And this might be in today's market, this might be someone saying, hey, I'll do something maybe this year, right? Maybe it's this year. Maybe in the market we were just in, it was like 90 days, like maybe 6 months, right? Because maybe they had to write 11 offers and still get just 1 close. So we had 17%. And then the ones that all salespeople are here today for, and they're online, like they want to know how to get the people to the, like they want to move right now, they want to close next Friday. Oh, we all want those, but as we started, I don't even know if it was being recorded. yet, but
This is where you're gonna spend the majority of your work and your efforts.
And these people
It's
fall on
also
the bottom, but these people typically, they don't come in Monday, close Friday. They came in June. Then they became that 3% after you followed up. So all of your closings, right? Anyone got any February closings? February closings are not February work. Post. But you might get one every once in a while. You might have one fall out of the sky and hit you in the forehead. But it's like, that doesn't happen with any amount of regularity. That's from your November and December work. Those are closing now. Or you got it on the market in January, but you started talking to them at Thanksgiving. You got it on the market in January, it's gonna sell in mid-January, and then it's gonna close the end of February.
Now, you can also do the opposite, which is what I did many times, which is you have these conversations, you develop these relationships, but you don't actually ask for the business or ask the right questions. And then the next time you call them, they just bought a house. So frustrating. So yes, you didn't say the right thing, right? And that all of that is, a lot of us are like, I just don't want to bother again.
That's my family. We thought you were too busy.
Right. So you have to get good at still dropping that in there. You can't just follow up and be like, how are the kids? 9,000 times. Sure, they know you're in real estate, whatever, but if you do not ask, they're never gonna like you. So depending on who you're talking to, like for me, I was just talking to a girlfriend and I always talk to her and I just said, hey, I know that Jason will be completely different, but I'm just like, hey, I know that you're looking to buy maybe in a year from now. Just out of curiosity, do you happen to know anyone else? And that's fine, but you have to be comfortable asking those questions. If you're trying to build your business, they care about you, you care about them. Don't be afraid to ask. Now, don't be the person that's the, part of an MLM that's like, buy up. You have the relationship with them to ask. Every third time I've heard is which can relate to like 2 or 3 times a year.
Yeah, think of your greatest struggle. So everyone, all of us are gonna have different issues, right? Like you don't have the same issue I don't, like we're all different, but just think like, what is our greatest challenge? What is your personal greatest challenge right now? And maybe we just saved the last 10 or 15 minutes for that. What's your greatest challenge? Getting up the courage to call my sphere, calling leads I don't know, dealing with people who are mad, just whatever, like any sort of, like what is the greatest challenge or what keeps us from doing it? Because at the end of the day, overcoming objections is a function of just understanding your scripts and dialogues. Understanding your scripts and dialogues is a function of practice. A practice is just a function of time, right? I mean, like Janelle's pretty good at yoga. Is it yoga? Like, but is it other than yoga? Like,
I teach 3 different formats, but yes.
3 different, but you're not good at it because like you just watch some videos. You're good at it because you keep doing it.
Yeah.
And you probably study it and you practice it. Like, but I wouldn't be good at it. Like, I mean, but if I wanted to be good at it, then I would have to spend some time and probably find someone who's good at it. And then she actually teaches a class a few days a week. Like, so then like that's where you go, right? So this class is like step 1, I got to get better at it. What do you got to get better at? So I'm going to call my sphere. So let's just say that you say, well, calling my sphere is my greatest challenge. Awesome. So, and we can even add that, let's add that to the one that we're going to go through. We probably aren't going to need to get through all 5. But Luetta and I can try and go through these. Are we going to pull the bowl too, or just do these?
If we need to, we can.
Okay.
I think if we hit everybody else's.
So your sphere, our trick with calling our sphere is we have at least 2 giveaways every single year. So we give away a cooler, we give away a grill. We do 2 charities, like we do a backpack drive where we collect school supplies, and we do a coat drive where we collect coats and boots and like warm clothes to give away. Those 4 things cost nothing. Well, I suppose giving away a cooler costs something, but you could partner with your lender could give it away, and then, you know what I mean, it's a $350
Or
Yeti.
the market center doing their $1,000.
The market, yeah, you can make those four cost you nothing, right? You give away something. You could go to restaurants, give away a gift certificate, whatever. So those are gonna cost you nothing to stay in touch with your sphere. With your sphere, I think the trick is to not necessarily have to call them all the time about real estate. Should you talk to them about their real estate plans this time of year, right? Did you make any real estate resolutions or New Year's resolutions for real estate? Any real estate plans that you have this year? Right? Do you know anyone that has any real estate plans this year that I can help? That's an easy way to just, I always say, if you're gonna call your sphere, don't be the person that does the chit chatty thing for like 7 or 8 minutes and try to weave real estate into it. You just call them, say, hey, Anna, do you have 2 minutes to talk business?
Yep.
They're just gonna say yes, right? But I asked for permission to talk 2 minutes about business, so the whole call doesn't have to be drawn out like, why the hell are you calling me? Like, I haven't talked to you since high school.
But
Right?
his really good friends are, he says things like, you haven't sent me a lead in a really long while.
I literally did say that to my, yeah.
But that's really close to you, right? Make it fun.
Yeah, you're really good friends. I mean, you should be calling them. You call your parents, your uncle, your, you know, your best friend, right? Like, hey, I checked my voicemail. There was literally no leads from you at all. Like that basically since the beginning of the year. I just, like, if you did have a referral, would you call me? Like, I just want to make sure. Like, have I pissed you off? There's a chance, right? I mean, there's a chance. So I think, I mean, and I used to say that one to my friend, and like, we have a really nice house in Stillwater right now that came from, it's like the 57th referral from a guy I went to high school. And that's a type of call that I would make to Rick weekly, bi-weekly. I mean, he's one of my best friends. I still talk to him at least twice a week, and we're, you know, in our late 40s. So, I mean, like those buddies that you have, those friends that you have that you kind of like talk to or whatever, like those are different follow-ups. So you're gonna, your sphere, it's not, this isn't a one size fits all, right? Your people, right? Your tribe of people that you talk to, meet with, whatever, those people you call different than someone you went to high school with, or someone that you met at your kid's hockey team, or someone that you met through another friend that is an investor, but so it's kind of like a friend of a friend, and you went and had coffee. That's a different person, still your sphere, but that's a different follow-up.
The other thing is, I know you don't want to move anytime soon. Is there anyone else you know that wants to, or that's thinking about it? So I did that to my very best friend. She was gonna stay forever, and they were not gonna move until her husband retired, blah, blah, blah. And I said that same thing to her, and we ended up selling her house 3 months later and helping her build a new house. You just don't know. So if you're not asking.
And that was that script, like you're like, hey, I know that you're not thinking of it.
I know you're not thinking about making a move, but who do you know? And I've got to make contacts today, so.
And that you could label that, right? That's like the reverse psychology script, right? If you're door knocking, and so I always think about what is your biggest objection, okay? So if, let's just say I'm afraid of the market or interest rates or time, like, let's say that this one, and this one, and this one, and maybe this one is like their family, right? But these three for sure. I can't find any inventory, I'm afraid of the market and interest rates. Are those all really kind of the same thing?
Or I don't think my house has enough equity. I don't think I have enough equity to buy something.
So let's just summarize all of them by saying, you know, maybe now isn't the right time. Like maybe now isn't the right time. You know, why did you want to move at all? Like why move ever, much less right now?
Well, we really want to get into one level.
You see, like they'll like as soon as you take that away from them, do you think you're going to take away their dream about moving? Or have you just allowed yourself with the, again, I'm calling it the reverse psychology, which to then you seems like a sales tactic. No, I'm just trying to talk her out of moving ever and really understand, like, why would you ever? Like, much less now. Like, why? When I try to take it away, they will dig in deep about their motivation. She'll uncover her motivation and she'll talk about, well, we really want to get into a one level. And so then we can keep going, right? Like, why is that important? Why is that important? When you take it away, you're way more likely to get to their real desired need and ability. I will tell you that 80% of your lack of conversion as a salesperson, 80% of our lack of conversion comes from our inability to understand their true desire, need, and ability.
And how do you understand people's desire, need, and ability?
Take it away, like
You ask questions.
You know what I've dealt with? The need, desirability, which is awesome, but with couples, especially downsizers, figuring out both of them have the same DNA, and I'm struggling with it, it's different timing.
so you two, so let's do this one, right? Let's take it away. You two be the couple and have completely polar opposite, right? Just say you're downsizing, you're not down, whatever, okay? But don't agree, right? Don't agree on necessarily why, right? So let's just role play this a little. So just wanted to follow up with you. I know we looked at that one level villa. What are you guys thinking? Where are you at?
I love it, I want to get out of this 3-story nightmare, I want to get the hell out of here.
Plus, they take $100,000 and make it work.
And so, do you don't really want to do it at all?
Well, I'd like to, but
We have this going on right now, you guys, so sorry, it's kind of hard to role play, we should be better at it.
Yeah.
We have this exact
And
situation.
I'll pull him aside and she'll pull.
But no,
You have to know.
I'm just telling you what to say to him, but why, so it sounds like to me, like you just don't want to do it at all.
Well, I do, but this would be perfect, but there's not enough road noise, it's too quiet out here.
But here's the thing, until you actually want to move, like, can you agree, like, you'd like him to want to move, but he doesn't want to move, so can you agree, like, this doesn't really work for you to not want to move, like, then you shouldn't move,
But he's handicapped, he can't walk anymore.
but you don't want to move.
So you don't want a one level? One level wouldn't help
I
you?
don't want something that's gonna take too much work to fix that, but I would move if it was the perfect place.
So you said it would be 100,000 to get this house to where you would need it to be to love it. Yeah. Is that something that you're willing to do, is move out to have somebody come in and revamp the house? Or would it be easier for you to purchase something that's already done for you?
I think we just need to keep it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so anytime, and you have the ability, right? So like, and this is a real question you should ask all buyers in this situation. You guys have the ability to buy that one. You don't have to sell your house first, right?
We have to sell our house first.
So then like, what I always tell people, like, if that is the case, like, then you got to figure out plan B, because you can't get a good one because you get beat out by people who are prepared. So how do we get you prepared? And then you have to figure out plan B, because there isn't another option, right? Like, you have to have your house sold. We can make it subject to finding something of your dreams that will work. If that doesn't work, then you have to find interim living, but there isn't a way for you to make it happen. So we got to get their house on the market, get it sold, and then help them move on. I mean, I have a client living in an Airbnb. It's my cousin, right? He and his family are living in an Airbnb, moved in yesterday. Because their only way to move forward was to have their house.
You've got different egos at different times in their life, right? And we know some of our downsizers, and I'm not role playing right now. Yeah. It's so hard for me to gauge the DNA of both of them at the same time and where they're at. And it usually takes about 5 years to get them both on the same page.
Always side with the person who doesn't want to move. Always. You're a freaking realtor. You got a horse in the race and you're trying to talk them into moving. Your whole job is to actually get people to move. Take it away and stop being a realtor and start being the person that says, I'm not siding with him because this is fun. I'm siding with him because he wants to stay. Don't move. Yep. The only way I'm converting him is to be on his side.
Yeah, you said it. Take with him.
I said
exactly. Side with him. He ain't gonna sit like that when I'm on his side. Like, we're not.
I said, oh, don't move. You're not ready. Well, you're just not ready, and that's okay. Not everybody's ready at the same time.
And the kids are going.
Then the kids start yelling. And I'm like, he doesn't want to move.
They don't have to move, right?
This is the castle. This is his castle.
It's an emotional.
It's an emotional. So,
and I totally understand that.
Yeah.
it would be emotional for me to leave my house as well. I
Yeah.
believe. So stay.
Yeah.
The question is, how long do you want to stay? And he said, the perfect home came along.
But couldn't you just, and
What
here's
if
the
the
thing,
home was perfect?
can't you just hire people to work at your house for the same price as an association fee?
No, they get screwed. No, you can't.
Why?
Have you contracted plowing and stuff like that? Recently in St. Paul, it's about $2,000 a year now and they don't show up. So really association dues are just more reliable and cheaper. They are. Oh, I know, we're role playing, but.
Because again, you're
No,
gonna get a lot
yes.
further when you're on their side, like, just get better people. I mean, for $4,000, because how much are the association fees on the new house?
400.
So 400 times
Well,
12 is 4,800. So if you paid your current plow guy, then you're getting it for $2,000. If you paid $4,000, would you get a better guy? I mean, the answer is yes. You're gonna get better people and better service for twice the money.
yes.
And so like, and again, they don't wanna stay. They wouldn't call us if they wanted to stay, but usually if we just kind of take it away from them, what you'll find is they'll fight for moving. But like when we're trying to fight for moving, then they're trying to fight against it. It's like the push-pull is because we're probably trying to cause it. Like subconsciously or consciously, like either you're direct with them about it or you're kind of indirect, and you're like, it's okay, like you don't want to move, but like, no, I'm not saying don't like be ambiguous about it or kind of like be in the middle, like literally like 100%. It's a good, like, don't move. Like, don't move, stay, get better plow people, like literally, like plant your flag on helping them stay, and then he'll all of a sudden change.
Yep.
Like, he's just not changing because we're kind of like go from all the way we gotta move to like, we're in the middle, like, hey, it's fine if we don't move, but we, like, the undertone is we definitely still want to have a sale.
He wants to
Right.
move, but there's something holding
And
him
he
back,
was,
and
he was
that's what I
overwhelmed
want.
by multiple things, having to move into an interim place.
Yep.
We're gonna put ourselves.
We already saw that as ego. It's.
Yeah. He's emotionally upset, absolutely.
Great, so don't move. You're perfectly fine. Hire
We're
the
actually
first
signing
people.
this afternoon, but it's been so good.
It's been-
I got all the paperwork, we're ready to go. Right, no, but I don't care. You can actually-
Right, and in the end, I mean, they have to get ready, right? They have to get ready to be homeless or whatever, like, there's only two ways, well, there's three ways. The magic carpet is in between, that's what they think will happen. They sell their house, they buy a new one, they negotiate the same closing date, they have everything, magic carpet, it's all perfect. And that's neat, and it is possible, we've all been part of those closings. That just can't be the only way you're able to move forward. If you're afraid, like if you're afraid of, because you're in everyone's beginning stage. Like when I meet with you and I have to go through any of these objections, I'm scared of one of two things. I'm scared of owning two, or I'm scared of living homeless. Like no one wants to be in limbo, but all buyers and sellers are kind of like, well, where will I go if I sell this? And if I buy something, like, how do I get rid of mine? Or am I going to own both? If they financially can own both, obviously that's always a preference, and it is easier for us as realtors, right? If they can buy first and then sell later, and that just, they're just not financially strapped, but most people, most of your clients are not in that position. They need to sell, then they buy, even if they financially can own both, they don't want
They
to.
don't want us. Yeah.
They don't want to.
do that.
Great, so don't.
So,
It's getting them both together, that couple. The DNA.
And sometimes
Same
it
time.
takes more than one. You obviously did it. How many conversations did it take?
3 years.
Oh, it took 3 years. Great. But that's okay.
downsizing takes a long time.
It's happening more, I'm seeing it because people that need, who are downsizing, right, your doorstep downsizing.
Yeah.
So I'm having more of those conversations and I'm seeing it for the psychology it is.
Yeah.
Where each, one of the couples doesn't want to give up a 4-car garage, right?
And you
Doesn't wanna
know
give up
because
his toys.
you're in Stillwater, so you know, like, I cut my teeth in 1995, I listed my first one-level development behind Rose Sport, right?
Oh, yeah.
47 one-level townhomes, and I sold all of them, right? It only took 4 years. Okay, only took 4 years to sell that development. Because we underestimated how Stillwater people are. Like, a lot of my people, right, I'll remember this lady forever, as long as I'm alive. She had been in her house, she was born in her house, she was 77 years old, so she lived in her house for 77 years. When we showed up for the walkthroughs, the buyer shows up for the walkthrough, I get a call, she hadn't like finished packing, right? She just got overwhelmed by it. Like I had sold her the new one, but there's like, so all these people are in a really like, so I cut my teeth early in my career. They like, why are all these old people so crazy? Like, why don't they, like, why does it take so long? They come into my model and then they come back like a year later and then a year later. Like, why is it taking so long? Downsizing is the hardest move for people mentally because it's like the first time they're telling themselves and you like they want less.
Yeah.
Every other move was kind of like exciting or a change or new or more. And then this one is like, I want less. I need less responsibilities. I want less to do. And so it just feels like a backwards move. In many cases, it's nicer than the place they live. But it still feels like they're giving up or they're wanting less responsibilities.
They're getting older.
Right.
And psychologically, it's like the first time that they're telling everyone that they can't handle it, or they are worried about not being able to handle it, or, and again, so that downsizing move is sometimes years. And it's like, for us as realtors, you know, and I was telling Anna this, like when you're new, like, I'll just go after the downsizing community. Just know, like, there is no one more set in their ways than a person who's been in their house for 20, 30, 40, 50 years.
They know everything.
And they're just like, well, so they just find all kinds of reasons to avoid doing it today. Yes, if they break a hip, have a spouse that goes into assisted living, like there are different life events that cause those.
And those
So,
are needs.
when we think of their desire, their need and ability, I have a house going right now. I met with them. It's been a couple of years in the making, been dealing with the daughter quite a bit. The husband passed away here right before Christmas. And so now we have the house on the market, sold it right away, sold her a condo, like everything. That train of 3 transactions all happened really quick after he passed. But it was a year and a half prior to that, many meetings and all the reasons not to do it. Which, I mean, again, I had the identical conversation, like, just don't move, like, it's not the right time. And right now, even dealing with the psychology of the person who then decided, so like, let's just say you go there today, and this isn't what you want to have happen, but let's say that they decide not to do it, and you just say, okay. And then something happens to him, and then you talk to her, and then she's like, I wish we would have done it, I wish we would have done it, we should have done it 2 years ago. No, like, it wasn't the right time. Right, it's the same thing happened with my uncle. We sell 20 new constructions a year. All of it was because of my aunt and my mom and dad driving around looking at open houses, found it for sale by owner, happened to be a builder. Right? But I had been showing my aunt stuff. My aunt had wanted to move for 5 years before my uncle died. My uncle said, that's fine, I just go with the house. So like, if you sell the house, that's fine, but like, whoever buys it gets me with it, because I'm not. You know, I'm like, well, that'll be odd. So, but I mean, but that's what you're no matter what, when you're dealing with downsizers, like there's usually one that doesn't want to move and the other one maybe does. Side with the person who doesn't want to move. Right? In a divorce situation, like go with the person who wants to keep the house, not sell the house, live in the house. Like the person who's not trying to have this happen. Right? One of them, in every divorce, someone's trying to move on and someone's trying to not, like, maybe accept what's happening. Right? Side with the person accepting not what's happening, because that's usually the person who still lives in the house, and that's also the person who's like literally clinging to like whatever was. And so, but the person who is like mentally moving on and like, you know, again, our salespeople, we tend to go after the people who show desire. Right? And so they come to the open, or you're talking to people, you get the talkative one, and the quiet one that doesn't really say much does this. Like, that's the one you got, like, let's go befriend them.
And hope the kids don't fire her and go find somebody who will.
They can't.
No, I know, I'm just saying.
Under contract.
Yeah.
But nobody's firing me. It's just the psychology of it all.
It is psychology. Your therapist, that's a real therapist. You're a lawyer, even though you don't give them any legal advice. But you know, you have those conversations. You learn about every detail of somebody's life sometimes. You don't want to.
I think it's the greatest, responsibility.
Being open to that. It can't be not knowing about them, not caring about them, and if it's about you and the sale, you're lost. You absolutely have lost. So you have to take that time to care. And it's just a matter of talking to enough people. So don't fear, am I saying the right thing? Yes, practicing scripts, knowing of the standard objections, it's just talking to people is what matters most.
So in our presentation, so you in our listing presentation or buyer presentation is a series of questions. Okay, so for those of you that haven't been through that class, I'm going to give you the questions really quick. And so if you write them down, you just have to memorize questions. Okay, tell me about your past experiences in working with realtors. Tell me about your past experiences in working with realtors. Number two, if you were to hire a realtor this time around, what would you be looking for? Look for three things. When they say the three things, ask them what they mean by any of the three things. Looking for someone who can be communicative. Looking for someone who can be knowledgeable. What does knowledgeable mean? Just keep the questions going.
All the digging questions really matter. And we will often take answers for face value and not truly understand the meaning behind it. So digging questions are one of the things you should practice the most, which you have tons of them on this sheet.
And when you're dealing with leads, so like these questions, like if you're meeting with someone, someone's going to hire you on the buyer side and the seller side, even if you're recruiting an agent, right, to your team, to your brokerage, whatever, like, tell me about your past, like, tell me about your experiences now. What's your greatest challenge, right? From a business perspective, if you're meeting with business owners or investors, what's your greatest challenge? It's an awesome question to ask. And your job is to figure out if you can write down their greatest challenge and find some sort of a solution to that challenge. Help people. If you'll help enough people get what they want, you'll get what you want. If you meet with an investor or a business owner and you ask them what the greatest challenge is, find a book or find something. One of the books that I'm reading right now, I've given away a couple of copies of it because it's called Soundtracks, and it's all about that mindset, those voices in your head, right? Those things that kind of like are defeating and not helping you. If you haven't bought a book in a while, if you want a good one, Soundtracks is a really great book. But read it, but then think like, whenever someone is talking, like, I got mindset issues, I got this, whatever, like maybe you buy that for your friend, maybe you buy that for your sister, brother, cousin, parents, whatever. So if you think about these, like, and then the last question, if you're meeting someone, or the one where you get, kind of like, would I be a good fit is, so if I could exceed your expectations on all three of those levels, would you allow me to work with you? Right? If I could exceed your expectations, would you allow me to work with you? Would you allow me to handle this? Those are just good questions to memorize. Any appointment will go pretty smooth. The entire appointment is about them. It's just you memorizing 4 questions. You ask a little deeper, like, hey, what do you mean by knowledge? What do you mean by this? What do you mean by that? If we can demonstrate that we could exceed your expectations, would you allow me to handle the sale? It's logic-based stuff. Okay. So if we think of, can't find anything, afraid of the market, interest rates, like all those like top things that we have, what questions can we ask that would be good ones to memorize? So, for one, maybe you shouldn't do it right now. Maybe you shouldn't do it right now. Why would you ever want to move anyways? Like, why would you going to move anyways, like at all, much less right now? Like, that's what that's what I just said to Luana. So memorize that question. Like, I understand what you're saying. Like, maybe now isn't the right time. Why move anyways? Like, at all, much less right now. I've taken it away forever. Salespeople like to chirp. So if you haven't recorded your scripts, and like if you call your sphere, okay? So I will tell you this, I'm willing to listen to anyone's recordings. Luetta's willing to listen to any of your recordings. Record yourself calling people at a minimum 3 or 4 times. Now what you'll find is that there ain't much to record. You're not doing it real often. If you were doing it real often, we'd have a different, right? We'd have to get better at it or whatever. Like, ain't none of us doing it super often. Like, there's not gonna be like 70 recordings from anyone in the room, right? So step one, like, just start recording yourself, because then you'll know what you say or don't say. But typically, what we do as salespeople is we try to sell features and benefits, and we try to talk people into doing it sooner. Like, now is such a great time. Like, I love people that post on Facebook, it's such a great time, like interest rates are great, like it's such a great time right now. Like, go the opposite. Like, instead of going like right now, go like, how about never? How about like never move? Because what you'll find is that when you go never, they'll come sooner. When you go sooner, they go later. When they go, like, they're always going to go the opposite of you. So when you're trying to go later, they'll go sooner. But if you go really later, like far away later, like basically taking it away, that's when you really get them. That's when they open up, because they start to trust that you're not trying to get them by Friday.
And then ask them more questions when they open themselves up. Find out even more. The more you can figure out with them, the better. So, well, these questions. You
like, so let's talk about that. So I call Luetta, right? And like, this is the typical salesperson. So Luetta, I just wanted to follow up with you. You had called about that house over in Lake Elm.
Yeah. Yep, I did.
Just wanted to make sure. Did you get the information you wanted?
Yes. Yep, I found everything. Your assistant called me back and gave me some information on it.
Awesome. So, are you guys interested in moving? Would this be for yourself or someone else?
You know, I would probably, I kind of want to move. I'm just not quite sure if now's the right time. I really like this house, but I've heard that it's already sold or already got an offer. Is that correct?
Yeah, we got an offer on this one. And obviously, you know, this one piqued your interest. Why move at all? Like, much less right now. Like you said, you know, you're not sure if it's the right time. Why move ever?
Well, we're currently renting, and we're just month to month, and I really want to be in this particular school district, and I really love this neighborhood.
Ooh, so like, could we get you set up on a search? Like, maybe you want to do, like, it sounds like you're month to month, like, so, no. Like, that is the typical, she starts to give a little bit, and all of a sudden we're converting her. Like, maybe you want to get together.
So what does the house look like?
So like, and it's just,
buy?
right? So she says the same thing. So that is the normal real estate response, right? Like, maybe we'll get you set up a search. Maybe you think you want to do right now. Sounds like you're in a month to month. Great, you're not tied in. Like just foaming at the mouth, right? Why not keep renting forever?
You know,
Double down, always double down. Talk them into staying in that rental forever. You got a good deal on your rent?
not really, it's not horrible, but we don't want to rent forever. We want to own something. And we just are picky. We want to own in a particular neighborhood. We really like this area. And it has to be the school district.
Why now? Why now? And why not wait 5 years, 10 years?
Because we just had a baby, and we have another young child who isn't in school yet. So we want to establish roots somewhere.
Okay.
So it's important for us to find a house that they can grow up in. So
try to talk them out of it a couple times. You see how the conversation is going to become a lot more real. Now I got 2 kids. I got one on the way. I got a brand new one. Like, all of a sudden it's like, well, these people are for sure probably moving in a year, 6 months, whatever. But so now you can, and again, that's why we want to record the conversations. Like, when I had to record my conversations, I'm like, man, like just foaming at the mouth. Yeah, like, yeah, sounds like great. We should probably get together. Maybe we'll buy a house this afternoon. Like, you want to go out and look at houses tomorrow or Friday? Or like, I mean, it's like, and so it's like, we're just so excited to have a live one. But you don't notice it. Like, you literally don't notice it. You will not notice it until you record yourself. As soon as you record yourself, you'll laugh at yourself. Like, we all do it. Okay, so you got to talk yourself into this. Like, I am literally gonna and I'm talking people out of it. I like laughing at myself, because I am slowing this thing down to like, we are never moving. And I'm like, I couldn't be more wanting to have this. Like, I had one the other day. And so for me, it's kind of price range driven, right? Like, average regular deals don't get me kind of like hung up at all. But I had an opportunity to sell our 1.25 listing to their friends. And I'm like, I'm deaf. I was 100% ready to just like back these people off moving ever. And then I find myself, like, I wish I would have recorded it at the house, because I probably was hyperventilating. And I'm like, you know what I mean? Like, I didn't intend to, but I'm like, I had already put this $2.5 million together on Saturday, like on my way out, right? I thought this was done. Like, I was so.
I'm like, oh, I didn't realize you were actually.
You don't even have to. But like, but I had already put it together. It was so done. And I'm like, and when they call, I was like, what do you mean it's fine? Like, we already bought it. Like, we already did it. We did it yesterday. Like, I thought we had this done. So if you don't record yourself, you don't know how you occur. You don't know how you come across. And I didn't record it. So I can only kind of go backwards and say, did what I say push them away or push, and it's not done, right? It's just that the market is precarious. The market does kind of like, am I paying too much? Like, is this a little bit aggressive for the price? Could it be a little bit less? Every buyer's wondering that, right? If they buy at 500, could it have been 485?
What's their desire, need, and ability? Do they really want to move?
Right.
Do they have a need to move?
They've been in their house 27 years.
Yeah.
For 1/3 the cost, right? Been paid off for a while.
Do the
Right?
buyers really want to buy?
Exactly.
Probably not. It's okay.
And I didn't go far enough into talking them out of it because I went right into sell mode because they liked it.
So he got excited and he was like, I'm going to go with that.
Did they ever call you out on, like, we were trying to reverse apology?
Ooh.
The client,
What were you
or
trying
the
to
lead,
do?
do they know you're doing that?
Oh, no. Well, here's the thing. Like, are you doing it as reverse psychology? I'm calling it reverse psychology to you. So you need to like understand where it is. But the bottom line is I literally do not care if they move. Like, I want them to do what they want. And the only way I'm going to get their real motivation is to try and talk them out of it, because otherwise they don't share the real.
Jackie knows, because in all of her listing appointments that she would go on, it took a little bit, but it became conversation. So it doesn't seem.
Yeah, and I would say why.
Yeah, why?
Why? It wasn't obvious. It was like, really, why would you ever want to leave?
And wouldn't you think that
Like, it
that's
is
what
great.
they would go?
You can't.
That's one of the best questions that are asked.
Yeah.
Why would you ever want? And I remember being up against other listing agents and had a formal presentation. I still don't have a formal. It was just, it was 3 questions.
Blank piece of paper.
Why would you ever?
Because when you have a blank piece of paper, it isn't about you.
Yeah.
It's about them and you just writing down what is important to them. And again, when you come across it, caring about what they're really doing or why they're really moving, or what would that do for them? So like the guy with the wheelchair, so moving into a 1 level, what would that do for you? Then you get them talking about what it's going to do for you. And how is that going to help you, Mrs. Wheelchair person? You know, and how is that going to help you too?
And are you able, so I mean, are you able to get any sort of in-home care where you're at now? Can you get any in-home care? And is that sustainable long-term? Like, would that work better? Because like you said, you don't really want to move. This is kind of like all overwhelming. Can't you just compromise and get on in-home care and stay?
Yeah.
But it's true. He was started one.
But good job, Jackie.
But see, that's the thing, when I.
And it's a friend's friend, you know, it's
Yeah.
a friend's parent, and I've been having conversations, and now there's a needed, there's a desire and a ability.
The
There's
need
a
is
full,
there.
you know, 1 full DNA, 1 DIA and an N, and you know,
But you kind of left them alone for a moment. Let them figure it out.
Yes.
But they're hard ones. I mean,
It's
do you
not about-
remember Scott? Do you remember Scott bringing up his parents?
Yes.
Like in the past, like, I mean, that's been a long time.
You
We just
brought them
sold
up like over a year ago.
over a year ago. And so like the kids wanted it for the parents, right? Because they had to go into assisted living, and one did go into assisted living, but the other one was still in the house. And like the kids couldn't convince their parents. And so many times you are dealing with kids. Many times you are dealing with an estate or a spouse that's stuck in the house trying to, you know, keep things going, but the other one is in memory care or whatever. And so just like knowing that it is hard for that person too, right, to make that decision. Or like my lady in Lake Elmo, like she's never been in their house 47 years. She's never, they only bought 2 houses together and she didn't deal with either one of them. right? Her husband dealt with it, like, she only had to worry about like, what were we gonna do, but she didn't have to think about pricing and when would we do this and timing, like, she just always kind of let him figure it out, and now for a half a century, they've been in one house. And now all of a sudden, she's gotta deal with it, she wanted to do it before he was gone, but now she's got all this remorse of like, wanting to push it so hard, and now she's doing it, but she doesn't wanna do it by herself, and it's like, all this mental drama that people go through because of just life.
But it started years ago with the daughter.
Yeah, she
Told us, I want to help with them. But they're not ready.
Could you meet with them? At 2 meetings, they canceled on,
Oh, yeah.
right? So we had the meeting set and they
It's
canceled.
like 6 years in the making that I know about, and it might even been longer, but 6 years for sure. And it took for the dad dying to actually make the move.
So come
So
back
again,
to your,
Yeah.
come back to your funnel. Because the reason that we have problems is because you're trying to make this little one be this one. Like, that's all the drama you have as a salesperson, is you're trying to make that one the wrong one. With a long enough time span, with a long enough time. Here's our line, right? Die. Born, right? Move. There could be some times in there. With a long enough time span, like when we just go born and die, like anyone's time, like you're gonna move, they're gonna move. And some of them even 3, 4, 5, some 10 times.
morbidly, Jason always said, they're either gonna move or they're gonna die. Either way, they're moving.
Either way, they're moving. It's like, you know, but if they're 14, are they moving? Yeah. Where are they really probably thinking of? Right? 21 to 27. Maybe they don't move until, like, I mean, they move at certain times of their life, right? Let's just call this 20 to 30. 20 to 30. Then you got 30 to 50. And then you got 50 to 70. And then you got 71 plus. Those are your times. Like, if you just think of people, right, if you could categorize your database, by 20 to 30, these are your first time buyers. Are there first time buyers that are 39? Of course. But it's like a lot of them are 20 to 30. 30 to 50, a lot of move up buyers. A lot of people buying their second place, moving on to their townhome, kind of in that late 20s, early 50s range, right? 50 to 70, empty nesters, kids are kind of growing up. Maybe they just want a second home, maybe they want a lake home, they want, 71 plus. They're choosing basically just a different lifestyle. They want less stuff to deal with or less stuff that, you know what I mean? But if they get to be, how old are your clients? The ones?
I think ladies 65, dads 75.
Okay.
There's a big gap.
So in that range, right, of 71 plus, but what I was gonna say is sometimes the longer, like if there's like this thing, I think 65 to 75 is probably like that sweet spot. But over 75, I almost you get a lot of people kind of like regressing because like they kind of missed the point where it made sense, and now it's like just hold out. We only got a few years left. You're right, because you kind of feel like, I mean, like do I want to deal with all this crap? I only got a few years left or something. This is how my dad talks, right? My dad talks that way. He's like, I mean, he's just not moving. My mom would move within hours, right? I don't even know that we would be at the funeral. My mom would have the house. Right, but I mean but everyone's different, so all people are different. But when you look at the kind of the way that people move, they typically move in certain times of their life. And that's the vast majority of people. Now, some people do multiple moves in there, they get themselves a couple extra spouses or a couple extra ex-spouses. Those things speed up extra homes, right? Sometimes those can be great clients, right? Because it's like everyone's a 3 client, everyone's 3. But then, they're stressing. So in these moves, where are your friends at? Where are your family? Where are they at? Because those groups of people are typically thinking like that. All right, Well, I got it done. We have anything?
Thanks,
else?
guys. No, just talk to more people.
Thank you guys so much.
It's your phone.
I was talking about the funnel. What's the funnel?
What's up?
It's all about the funnel. It always has been.
You're welcome, AJ.
And the thing is,